Hey, today I'm talking about Imogen Poots Fest 2022, y'all. If you're somehow unfamiliar, ever since COVID became a thing and I started watching movies every single day, I've become slightly obsessed with the British actor Imogen Poots. She is amazing. I have watched 18 of her films in that time, and I've now watched 3 more. And the 3 I'm talking about today are Knight of Cups, A Long Way Down, and Cracks. Stubbies. Knight of Cups. This is a 2015 Terrence Malick film starring Christian Bale. And man, was this movie an experience. I really wouldn't even call it a movie. It's more of just a vibe. It's just a feeling. I honestly could not tell you the premise of this movie, so I will read what it says on IMDb, and I guess it's probably true. So IMDb says, a writer indulging in all that Los Angeles and Las Vegas, and also St. Louis, have to offer, undertakes a search for love and self via a series of adventures with 6 different women. If you're unfamiliar, Terrence Malick likes to do weird shit, and this movie is no exception. The movie comes up with a vibe of it's very, very improvised, and it's just kind of like, F it, let's wing it. And it's clear that like the camera just kind of gets distracted by whatever seems the most interesting at any time. And that was something that was very annoying when I watched The Thin Red Line last year. But here, it kind of works because this really isn't a movie. It's more just a series of images. Because like there's no real like start or end of a scene, or like even with characters, like all the different women that pop up like Imogen. They're just kind of suddenly there, and then they're eventually some point just not there anymore and they don't come back. And you don't really notice them coming or going. It's kind of almost dreamlike in that sense of you're just kind of weird shit is happening and you just accept it and roll with it. It really surprised me how much I actually enjoyed this movie, especially coming off of The Thin Red Line, which I really hated. This one just clicked for me. Now, that being said, I don't recommend this movie unless like you can really handle like textbook definition art house films, because like you can't get more textbook weird than this shit. I definitely caution you to go into this movie. It's definitely an experience, and if you think you can handle it, I'd say go for it, because it could be a rewarding experience for you. I'm definitely glad that I watched this film. Next up is A Long Way Down. This is a 2014 British movie starring Pierce Brosnan, Toni Collette, Imogen Poots, and Aaron Paul. And the basic premise is it's New Year's Eve and Pierce Brosnan wants to kill himself by jumping off this very tall building. And before he gets a chance to, he runs into 3 other people who also want to do the exact same thing. And then the quad end up befriending each other and making a pact to not kill themselves. So really it's a lighthearted movie about suicide. So I can understand why it did not get good reviews, because that's a very tricky line to walk. I definitely went into this movie with low expectations, but I was surprised by it. They had a lot of good chemistry between all 4 of the leads. I definitely liked Imogen the best. I'm biased, obviously, and I will also say that she had a very Marla Singer vibe to her, both in looks and aesthetic and character. Pierce Brosnan was good and solid. He did a good job of carrying this movie. Toni Collette is amazing as always. Even though she does have like the most cliched written character, she also has a child with a disability that you really don't see in movies or TV shows. So that was kind of a refreshing perspective. I definitely think Aaron Paul was the weakest link of the group, basically because he was essentially doing Jesse from Breaking Bad light. So that was kind of lame. I do think this is a flawed movie, and I don't think they perfectly balance the lightheartedness with the dark subject matter of suicide, but I do think it's an interesting story. It's not a film to just be dismissed out of hand. I don't know if I would recommend it necessarily, just because it is a weird mixture of lighthearted and dark, but I would say if you're intrigued by it and if you think you could handle it, go for it. You know, don't go in with the highest expectations, but I really don't think it's a bad movie, and I really don't think it's as bad as the reviews make it out to be. Though again, I am biased because I am madly in love with Imogen, so do with that as you will. And lastly is Cracks. This is a 2009 British movie starring Eva Green, Juno Temple, Maria Balduri. I don't know, she's Spanish. And then Imogen, of course, though she's kind of more of a bit player in this movie. And the basic premise is it is set in an all-girls boarding school, I think in 1920s England. And it's about this group of teenage girls trying to live their lives. Eva Green plays the cool, hip teacher who lets them get away with stuff and whatnot. And then Juno plays like the head girl of this band of people, and she's just kind of a bully. And then Maria is this Spanish princess who comes in, and of course everyone has to hate her because she's beautiful and whatever. Imogen just plays one of the other kids. She was 19, so she pulls it off. This movie was not good. It was trying to be Dead Poets Society, but like none of the stuff the teacher said is inspirational or cool. It's just kind of like dumb and airheaded. And also she's just kind of a terrible person in general. But also everyone in this movie is kind of a terrible person. Juno is just a bully the entire movie. Like there's one scene where she's kind of sympathetic, but then she just does so much mean shit that it's just like, I hate you as a person, stop doing everything you're doing. And then Maria, the Spanish princess, you're like, oh, I'm gonna feel sympathy for her because she's getting bullied and she's in a new place, so like you're gonna feel bad for her and whatnot. No, you don't, because she constantly has this I'm too good for this shit attitude the entire movie. It does not go away. That is her whole character, is I'm too good for this shit. A lot of the stuff about this movie really doesn't work. I do think like the base idea isn't bad, and I do think there are decent performances in this movie. Like I could definitely buy Imogen as the second in command bully type of thing. And there were some really, really pretty shots in this movie as well, particularly the night swimming scene. That one was gorgeous. I didn't end up putting this one in the didn't like category though, just because it's hard for me to not like a film that Imogen is in, but it's like, it's right on that line. It's so close. So yeah, so I don't recommend this film. It's not good. Alrighty, now for today's rankings. First up, we got Knight of Cups sitting at number 10 in the liked category. And not too terribly far behind is A Long Way Down, sitting at number 12 in the liked category. And then bringing up the rear, rightfully so, is Cracks, sitting at number 16 in the meh category. And this is out of a total of 18 old movies so far this year.